later. And then we did have a question about 102. 102, yes, is recorded. It has not been uploaded to our YouTube and put on our website yet, but it will be done hopefully by the end of the week. Um, okay. And then if I haven't talked to you before, most likely we will. Whether or not it's about Golf Genius is to be determined. But for those of you who do not know me, my name is Aaron Gareca, and I am the Managing Director of Club and Facility Services. My primary duties are handicapping and course rating for our beautiful state here, Colorado, as well as Wyoming now. So I'm in charge of those two states and making sure everybody's in compliance and everybody knows what they're doing in terms of Golf Genius as well. And yeah, and then I like to help out wherever I can too, in the tournament space if needed. So that's a little bit about me. And then also on this call is another CGA staff member, and her name is Maddie. Maddie, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Maddie Kern. I am with obviously with the CGA. I am just a step below Aaron, so Aaron 2.0. I do everything course rating, handicapping, everything from A to Z, pretty much, as he likes to say it is. I've been with the CGA for coming up on 3 months now, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, still learning the ropes of everything and kind of learning along with everyone on this video call as well.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Maddie. We are lucky to have her, and she's picking things up really quickly, which is awesome. So before you know it, she'll be teaching this thing. She doesn't need Justin or I. Just kidding. But anyway, so without further ado, I will introduce our fearless golf genius leader, Mr. Justin Scott. Justin, you have the floor there, sir.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it, Maddie. Appreciate you guys having me on board. Looks like we do have a little smaller group today. Hopefully I didn't scare too many people off at 101 and 102. Or, if I guess we would need to hear from those people who aren't in attendance if this content isn't relevant to what they would like to learn about. We'll certainly get that feedback and make sure that, these are relevant webinars that hopefully will give you some information regarding Golf Genius. But I do have, as Aaron mentioned, an agenda set up today. We're going to go over a few things. I'm thinking my content might be maybe an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, depends on how deep we go into some of these features. But then, as Aaron mentioned, there are, looks like maybe five on the call who or six on the call, so we can certainly dive into any specifics that you have regarding any events and leagues at your facility. So certainly, a smaller group may be beneficial for those of you who are on the call if you need any assistance with some of your setup inquiries for 2024. In regards to the presentation, like with the 101 and 102, I will be transitioning back and forth from a PowerPoint into the software. PowerPoint just kind of gives you an overview of the topics that we're going to discuss. And then once we get into the application or the program itself, that's kind of when we'll dive into the clicks and all of the navigation through Golf Genius. So let me try and share my screen here, make sure I share the right one. And hopefully everyone will see the 2024 CGA 103 training webinar, which looks like is up on the screen. So as I mentioned, quick introduction. I probably, if those of you who have attended this webinar in the past, it will be the same introduction. Golf Hub, again, if you've attended these in the past, maybe just a refresher, might go into a little bit deeper detail in Golf Hub and how that works and how that may be beneficial for your facility. We'll look at building a season-long match play, possibly with some other features via a qualifier or maybe a consolation round. We'll build that out so that everyone is comfortable with the match play. Again, it can be a little bit confusing at first looking at the navigation, but after you get comfortable with the navigation, very easy to apply to your season-long match play. It can be standalone or it can be added into a league as well if you need. We'll look into our scorecard composer, probably take a deeper dive in making sure that you're comfortable with how we can edit scorecards, make them your own, make them a nice and presentable for your players at your facility. Take a look at the report composer, probably one of our most in-depth features that does take some time to master, but hopefully our community center will give you some of the information that you need so that you don't have to build a report by scratch. Maybe you can look at something that someone else has built and make those modifications to that particular report. We'll see how deep we go into that. I don't want to confuse anybody too much. But if there are questions on the report composer, we can certainly spend some time there. We'll look at some league best practices. Again, we've kind of gone over some of those best practices in 101 and 102. I always try and give you the best practice that I like to utilize for Golf Genius. And then, as I mentioned at the end, if anyone has any questions, specific questions about their leagues or events, we'll certainly have an open forum. Again, as Aaron mentioned, we do have 2 hours of time scheduled for this webinar, but if we cut it a little bit short, that's fine. I'm sure those of you may have some other things that you can attend to if we don't make it up until 12 o'clock. So a quick introduction about myself, won't take too long here. Again, Justin Scott, longtime PGA member, been with Golf Genius for going on 7 years now, worked at the support team, and I'm in the account management position. So I do manage Colorado and another 9 states in the Northwest, along with some provincials in Canada. And my background is in golf, worked at multiple facilities, all the way from the bag room, all the way up to a head professional position. So certainly know what you go through on a day-to-day basis, whether you are working in the shop or whether you are have another full-time job and are working with Golf Genius solely for your leagues or events. Certainly am here to try and help you make the most out of your time, so you're efficient at whatever capacity you serve within Golf Genius, whether it be facility or some other capacity. I'm going to go into Golf Hub real quick. If you have heard this before, it will be a repeat of what we've done in the 101 and the 102. But what Golf Hub is, it's a new feature. We're about 1.5 years into this particular feature, where this is a way that we can certainly generate digital flyers to promote your events. It's a configurable flyer, so all of the flyers look the same. They have the nice same look so that you can build those out. We can display event details within this particular flyer, and then we can certainly add in registration and or registration with payments to these Golf Hub pages. Now, those of you, if you're on the call and are on TM Club, you have not had a registration feature in the past. Golf Hub does give you the ability to generate a registration form and possibly collect payments if you would like. If you're on premium, you can still use the Golf Hub application. However, we just do give you the ability to use your premium registration so that you can collect more detailed information about your registrants. You can use a wait list. We can use pending registration with Golf Hub. Again, with TM Club, as to not cannibalize premium registration, we don't have the ability to collect as much information, but you can certainly build a roster using Golf Hub. So I'm going to go into back into the software.
Hey, Justin, just real quick while you're doing that, we have a question from Craig. Can we block results from showing on Golf Hub?
I'm thinking this might be Craig Stevens from Saddle Rock. He asked that question. If it is, right now we do not. And it has been requested that we can do that. But right now we do show all results on a Golf Hub page due to the fact that our intent is to give out as much information to these players as possible. But if that's something that you don't wish to do, if you want to use Golf Hub for registration only, you could certainly build out a Golf Hub page, publish it to your Golf Hub or the aggregated hub, use that for registration only. And then once you have your registration built, you could certainly unpublish that page so it's not seen on a Golf Hub application. But yes, as of now, we will show all results for rounds on a Golf Hub page. So moving back into Golf Hub, into my customer center. Sorry, I got a little something there. We will certainly want to build out your main Golf Hub within your customer center. If you are a league manager or an event manager, you will not have access to the customer center. So you would want to ask a representative of your facility to build out the Golf Hub page on your behalf. And within your Golf Hub page, within your Club Hub, this is where you're going to populate information about your facility. You can certainly give information as to what your facility is about, or maybe a mission statement or some other description regarding your facility. It is a little bit difficult to read on the preview, but any information that you populate in the description will populate onto the right-hand side. We can put in an external website if you would like. So if we want golfers to access an external website, you can certainly populate that. That will transfer into your hub page. Additionally, we have the ability to show different viewings of your hub. We have map view, we have clustering views, we can group by month. We can also include city and state into your settings. And then we have tile view and list view. It's what's seen by default. That's not to say a user can move back and forth from a tile view, list view, or map view. If you are a standalone facility, your default view will probably be a tile view or a list view. But as we get into the look of the aggregated hub, most associations may use a map view because they will be promoting events and leagues across the state of Colorado. If you are a one-course facility, you can certainly choose the course that you would like to appear in your details to view that scorecard. If you are a 36-hole facility, 27-hole facility, you may choose to show no course on your main hub page. But then when you build a hub, you can certainly choose the course that you are representing within that particular event. We have the ability to add in sponsors, different types of banners into your hub page. So that you can customize this hub page representative of your facility, kind of like you do with portal design. If you choose, you can also, within your customer center, you can build multiple banners. So if you have different banners that you would like to use for different events, you can certainly add those into your customer center and then choose those to be used on an event-by-event basis. Maybe you have some different sponsors that you would like to add to different hub pages. You can certainly build those in your customer center, and we can choose those on an event-by-event basis. And then we also have schedules that maybe you run corporate outings on Monday, and that schedule is the same every Monday. So instead of having to build that for each one of your hub pages, we can build a schedule, and you can certainly use that schedule within your particular events that you create. So we're going to build that first, and then once that is built, we have the ability to embed that into your website. We can promote it via email, other social media avenues. We can certainly just copy that URL link and paste that on your website, in an email, on a social media link. However we want to get this information out to your golfers, it's just a clickable link that sends them to your hub page. Now, when you build out an event or a league at the event level, this is where you are creating your particular hub. Pardon me. Let's see here. The one I changed the name of this, but I think I have a hub page built for this particular event. Under your apps tab, when we create a golf hub page, this is where all of that information can be populated into the event description. And let me actually go to another one that looks like this one does not have information. Let's look at this one here. Oh, no, I cloned this one, so it doesn't have that information. Hang on one second here, gang. There we go. We'll look at this one right here. So right now we don't have the ability to clone a hub page. That should be coming by Q3. Right now we kind of built this one for the 102 training webinar. But in the future, let's say you build a hub page for a corporate outing. Again, right now you have to rebuild this hub page. Not great, but we do understand that this would be a great feature so that you could certainly clone a hub page just like you do any of your regular events. So know that if you build something out for 2024, yes, we're probably going to build that initially just because it's a new feature. But as we get into 2025, we will have the ability for these hub pages to be cloned. So you can see here, we've got our 103 training webinar. We can certainly change this dynamically. I went ahead and changed the name of this particular event, so I can certainly give it a title. We've got our dates that will be displayed. If you have added them to your calendar tab, we can certainly add in a portal link. So if golfers want to access the portal, they can certainly do so by going to the More Info tab. You do have to give it a tournament name. So it doesn't have to be the exact same name of the tournament that you build under your rounds tab, but we would want to give it a tournament name. We can add in a course, and then again, you can see that we could certainly give in a league description or event description, depending on what I have built. And then we can certainly add in different schedules. If we want to add in a schedule, if we want to use our templates from the customer center, we can also use banners, or if we want to bring in a new banner, you could certainly do so and bring that in from your desktop and add that banner to your particular event. So you can see that my schedule has populated. If I had populated a league description, that would appear above my schedule. I've got my sponsors in here. And as Craig has mentioned, this will be the rounds that we display and the results if that round has been completed. Once we have built this, we can then publish it to your hub page. You certainly don't have to publish it. Maybe you're starting to build something and you don't have all the information that you need and you're not ready to publish it. At any point in time, you can publish or unpublish this page. And again, as mentioned, if we don't want to show the results, we just want to use it for registration, great. We publish it for registration. We unpublish it, and then golfers would be able to go to the portal at some point in time if results were released to the portal after a round had been completed. With registration, we do have the ability to add TM registration. So if I wasn't using a premium feature, I could certainly add in a registration where we can set parameters for permissible number of golfers to register. Maybe it's a single registration for a league. Maybe it's a 4-person registration for an outing, or maybe it's somewhere in between where you can register between 1 to 4 golfers. You certainly have the ability to set permissions for registration, and you can also add registration with payments as a TM Club customer. Those of you who are on premium who would like to utilize TM Club premium registration, you would just complete the form in your registration center as you've done in the past by adding in custom fields, possibly different payment registration options. You know, we certainly give you the ability to build out those registrations as you have done in the past, and then that populates into your hub page. Once we have those pages published, golfers go to the main hub, the My Club hub, and then they're able to register for those events. Now, we do also have a feature. It's not here because I'm not part of the CGA, but as a member club of the CGA, there is another option for you to aggregate those hubs to the Colorado Golf Association. They have built a hub page that you can promote your events and leagues through the CGA's website. So if you have a league and you're trying to add players to your league, you're trying to promote a particular corporate outing, you can say, yes, I want this to get pushed to the CGA hub page, which this taking a few seconds to load, but after this loads up, we'll show you where this can be found. And additionally, we are also building out a Golf Genius global directory where it will have all events over the entire country. enabled. So maybe someone is coming to the state of Colorado and they want to see if there's any events that can be played in throughout the time that they are on vacation in Colorado. They could certainly come to the CGA's hub, and they could go into their membership, go to the CGA Golf Hub, and you can see that there are 27 events that have been found. And looks like this is the tile view that has been selected by default by the CGA. But if you wanted to look at a map view, we could certainly look at those as well to see what events have been built. Or if we want to look at a list view, we can also view all of these particular events that are going on, and you can see those dates that they start. Some have registration with payments, others have free registration. So you can see Saddle Rock Murphy Creek. Let's see what they have here. You can certainly register for this league. It's got a lot of information populated here, and you can certainly register for the Saddle Rock Murphy Creek Men's Club because they are promoting this not only through their website, but also promoting it through the CGA. One thing that we have put out, we are spotlighting those of you who have not uploaded your course from CRD, the course rating directory. I would certainly advise you to do so, or have your customer manager download that course to CRD for two reasons. One, if you're using the hub page and we're using the map view, this is something that we really don't have any control over as of yet, because manually created courses don't have latitude and longitude, but courses in CRD do. So you notice here there are 19 events in the map view, but there are 28 that have been created. There are 9 of these events that have not had a course downloaded from CRD. So we can't populate them onto the map view because we don't have the latitude and longitude to populate them onto this map view. So if you are going to be using a hub page, we certainly recommend that you download the course from CRD so it can be populated onto the map view. And additionally, with the new WHS changes, with the scaling of scores, if you have a manually created course, you are not going to be able to post a score to GIN if 10 to 17 holes have been played, because we don't have a TID associated with your manually created courses. So we certainly will want to try and have an initiative through the associations and through Golf Genius to have all of your courses uploaded from CRD, so that when we scale a score that has been posted between 10 and 17 holes, we will create an 18-hole differential for those holes that were played less than 18 or 9. So certainly try and put that on your list of things to do to make sure that you have your courses downloaded through CRD.
Hey, Justin, quick question. Can a charity golf tournament build a hub page on the CGA website?
Yeah, well, you have to build it for them. A charity golf tournament would need access to Golf Genius. But if you are providing a charity outing to use TM, or you are building that charity outing for them, you as a manager would go in and you would build the YMCA Charity Outing 2024. You would build a hub page on their behalf, and you could certainly attach their Stripe account to that particular hub page so that when registration with payments are taken, that money goes directly into the Stripe account that's associated with the YMCA. All that money goes into their account. You just invoice them from use of the facility. But as long as you have the ability, or as long as you have aggregated that particular page to the CGA, of course, you can certainly have that particular charity outing populate to the CGA's website. And you can also populate that to your website. So you can let that charity outing know, hey, I'm not only going to push this to my website. So if someone comes to Indian Tree and they see that there's a charity outing in Indian Tree, great. Or if they also come to the CGA's website and they see that that charity outing is at Indian Tree, but the CGA has enabled their aggregated hub, so it does appear on their website as well. So they can do that, but you just kind of have to do it on behalf of them. And most of you who run charity outings probably are already doing that. Hey, I can run your charity outing. I can set up registration. I'm going to print your scorecards. I'm going to generate your pairings. I'm going to generate your printed material. I might enable mobile score entry for you to use. Here's the communication that we're going to use via text message or email. You may already be doing that already, but just building a hub page on their behalf. They may give you some detailed information on the description. They may send you an email with the description that you want to put into the hub page, but you would just do that on that particular facility's behalf. And let's see if there's any in here that we can kind of use as an example. Maybe this one right here, kind of close. This isn't really, this is an ACES tour, but it doesn't look like we have any events on here yet. Here's one. That's a member guess. But we could certainly, let's use this example here of this one down here. Which one? The Junior West Chapter Junior ACES Tour, Golf Grand Junction. This would be kind of what you would put in for that particular outing. And then they could register for that particular event either through your facilities hub page or the CGA's aggregated hub. A great question there. Any other questions on Golf Hub before we move into season-long match play?
I have no questions on the chat.
Okay, great. All right. Season-long match play. May not spend too much time on this. I'll try and just go through this quickly just so you can see the UI as to how we can build this out. But a season-long match play we see this all the time, where you build out a bracket tournament. Golfers have X amount of times to complete their round before they move on to the next round to play their next opponent. So we will look at how we create a bracket, how we set up the rounds and tournaments, how we fill the brackets. We'll look at possibly building out a consolation bracket where a loser of the round gets pushed into, or excuse me, of the match gets pushed into a new bracket. Keep in mind, this is not double elimination. We do not have the double elimination like you've seen in softball tournaments. We don't have that functionality. You could certainly use Golf Genius for that, but you would have to kind of buy one of those double elimination bracket tournaments and kind of build that out accordingly. But a consolation bracket just puts the losers into a new bracket where, let's say you have a qualifying round and you're guaranteed at least 2 matches. Well, if you lose your first match, you're put into the consolation bracket to play your second match and possibly move on to be the consolation winner. We will talk about index retrieval if that's something you're looking to do within Golf Genius, entering results, and then a portal display. So I've got some of this built out already. I lost it here though. Let me go back here. So I've got 16 golfers confirmed. It can be 16 golfers. It could be 32 golfers. It could be 64. It could be 80 golfers. But we may end up running a qualifier so that golfers can be populated into the bracket based off of their qualifying results. So what we can do is we certainly need to add those rounds. We would add as many rounds as we need to complete the bracket tournament and possibly the qualifying. So I just built this morning, so apologies there. I didn't have a chance to fill this out, but I can certainly do it real quick. Qualifier. Round of 16. Quarters. Semifinals. And the finals. Now, you don't have to add it this way, but it certainly is a little bit easier to be recognized when we build this out. So if you're conducting a qualifier, again, we would need to build out your pairings along with a tournament. So just like with anything, and this is what we see sometimes when you have a larger amount of players than the bracket tournament can fill. This one is fairly simple because I have 16 players, but let's say I had 18 players and we wanted to run some sort of qualifier so that the top 16 could be populated into the bracket. That's when you may run a qualifier, or maybe this one we're just running a qualifier for seeding purposes. My low net player or my low gross player will be the #1 seed. And then my lowest player in that leaderboard will be in the last seed. So we can certainly run a qualifier if you'd like. We don't have to, but I'll just quickly set up a qualifier. Set up a quick tournament here. And notice, I mean, very easy to do, you know, like if you've done this enough, you know, it's not that difficult to set up a net tournament or a gross tournament. We can't really use the bias tournament because, you know, we would have all of our players in different positions for that bias tournament. So let's just say we're going to run a gross qualifier. We built that tournament. We can retain ties. You can break ties. It certainly doesn't matter. I would probably recommend to break ties so that the seeding is a better reflection of a position finish as opposed to any type of ties. So we can build out a tiebreaker. So this gets loaded up. My apologies, I didn't set that earlier. You know, you're going to run this qualifier as you would any other particular event, entering in those scores either via manual entry or via mobile score entry. And then we're going to have our finish positions of 1 through 6. I'm in this particular field, so we'll see how I did. 85, not too bad, I would say. And then we're going to have our qualifier for our scoring. And then once we have our qualifier, that's when we're going to go in to build our bracket tournament. Now, I'm building an individual bracket tournament. You can have team bracket tournaments as well. Just keep in mind that a bracket tournament has to be built with 2-player teams. Some people like to have subs that, hey, I've got 3 players on a team, but we only can build out 2-player teams. And then there are some ways to get that 3rd player in. We can have a discussion about that if that is something that you utilize. But just keep in mind when we build our bracket tournaments, it is only for a singles bracket tournament or a team bracket tournament. When I'm building my brackets, I can certainly build out as many brackets as I would like. Let's say I'm building out 2 brackets of 8. I've got 16 players, but I need 2 brackets of 8 players. I could certainly build out 2 brackets. Or maybe we have some consolation matches in those 2 brackets. Then I would need 4 brackets. So just keep in mind, how many brackets do you need to complete the operation that you're doing with your season-long match play? I'm going to build a consolation bracket. So I'm going to have 1 bracket of 16 players, and then I will have another consolation bracket of the losers of that first round. You're now taken into building out your bracket. You can certainly rename the tournament name if you would like. Got our season-long match play. We do need to be sure, if you're running a league, make sure you are choosing the proper rounds that the bracket will be played in. You may have a number of different rounds within your league. That's why we try and name them appropriately. This is where you can kind of corrupt your bracket if you choose a wrong round and then you have to go back and rebuild it, maybe because you chose a wrong round. So certainly make sure that you're naming your rounds properly so that they can be selected accordingly. We would want to choose the number of players. Now we can choose 16, 32, 64, 128. That's the largest we can go. And then we have different regions. So let's say we did have a region of 64. March Madness is going on right now. Well, I could certainly build a bracket tournament of 64 players, but that is very small on the portal. So you may want 4 regions of 16 players, just like we do in March Madness, where you have your regionals. They come out of the regional and then they play for the semifinals and the finals. You can certainly rename these. We see them given some sort of maybe a golf course name or a player's name. Certainly 16 players, 1 region is fine, but when you get into 32 or 64, certainly 128, I do recommend breaking down your bracket tournament into regions. It just shows a little bit better on the portal. Your tournament settings, well, what are we going to play? Are we playing our own ball? Are we playing 18 holes? Are we netting off the low? Are we playing at gross? And are we doing any type of tiebreaker? Normally, you probably are going to go extra holes to break that tie for a match play. So we just build our tournament settings accordingly on the left-hand side. Now, we do have to choose a default tee. That's not to say that players can't be assigned to a different tee once we create the bracket tournament, but we do need to choose a default tee that most golfers will be playing. We can show seeds on the diagram, on the bracket diagram. We can certainly show additional information. Maybe you want to show the affiliation. Maybe there's some other information that you want to show on the bracket. You can certainly do so there. We can add in season points if you would like. So if you have a season points allocation table, or excuse me, a season point category with a point allocation table, we can add that here, and we would certainly award those points based off of the finished position of the player in the bracket. We can show different information here on the display. What do we want to display by default? Our bracket view or a list of matches. Normally, I very rarely see list of matches because most people want to see where they are within the bracket. We have some other options here. Consolation match for the finals, 36-hole finals. And then we have, if the previous round is in progress, maybe we don't create buys so that if for some reason you don't finish your round by the designated time period, we won't show a player as getting a bye if that particular match prior to theirs hasn't been played. This was built for the USGA. Don't really see this used very much in the season-long match play because normally a flip of the coin determines the winner if a round has not been completed by the end date. One other thing I did forget to mention, I do recommend that your round date be the last day that the golfers can complete that round, just so that they have an idea. I made mine for May, June, July, and August 1st. That's when those rounds need to be completed by. So I built my match play. So now I've got my season-long match play, and now I want to fill in my players. Now I can certainly choose players and populate them in just by my own selection. We can autofill the brackets randomly by handicap index, maybe by a custom field if you have a seeded custom field in your player profile. But what I've done is I have said, yes, I want to use previous results, and I want to use my qualifier to populate this bracket. And my lowest gross players will now be populated into my particular bracket. We didn't populate by index, we populated by low gross score. If you need to move things around, sometimes the previous winner of the last year's match play gets placed in the first seed. You could certainly move golfers around if you wanted to by just moving them from your bracket over into the right-hand side. So now I have completed my first bracket. But I said, you know what? I want to do a consolation bracket where my losers are going to play in a new bracket. And this is not that difficult once you understand the concept. So if I have my consolation bracket, I'm building a second bracket. I'm building my consolation bracket. Yes, it's going to be 8 players because it's going to be my 8 losers of the first round. And then I'm going to choose 3 rounds. Well, everyone's playing in the round of 16, but my consolation will be the quarters, the semis, and the finals. I can certainly choose a different tournament format if I want. Maybe my consolation bracket is going to be a net off the low. Maybe so, maybe not. And maybe we will take 80% of those players' indexes or playing handicap if we choose to do so. Set up the tournament the same over here. When I come into next, this is kind of where you want to make sure that you are in a good spot and understand where we're going to pull the consolation players from. So I've got my consolation bracket, I've got my 8 players, and then I'm going to autofill, and I'm going to autofill my consolation bracket based off of my season-long match play of my round of 16. So that now all of the losers of that round of 16 will populate into this particular bracket tournament. Obviously, nothing's in here because I don't have any losers from that first match. So after I've set up these 2 brackets, choosing the proper number of golfers, the proper dates, I've set up the proper tournament settings, and I've filled them accordingly. Now, if I go into my rounds tab, into my round of 16, you can see here I've got my pairings built. And I've got twosomes, which is what we would normally do here. Now, sometimes people be like, you know what? I want to get these golfers into foursomes. Now, you certainly can. You would just need to make sure that you would swap or move pairings and get them into the proper position. And if you were looking for let's see if seed's in here. I don't think the seed is. I would have to kind of go back to my bracket tournament. Some people like to make sure that, 1 and 16 plays with 8 and 9. We would need to go back and look at that bracket tournament to show who to put these players with. But if you want to swap or move pairings, you certainly can. Just keep in mind, though, if I save these pairings, I am going to lose these 4 scoring rows, and I can't get them back. So if that's fine, sometimes you put them in foursomes, great. What I've also seen sometimes is when you are assigning either course and tee and or tee times, we assign the same tee time to pairing group 1 and pairing group 2. Again, this is if you're assigning tee times. Since if it's a season-long match play, we may not even need to set tee times or shotguns. So just keep that in mind. If I do move these players into foursomes and I save my pairings, I lose these 4 pairing rows, so I can't really do much else besides move golfers around into their foursomes. So normally we kind of see this kept as 2 teams. Obviously, will be built out with pairing groups 1 and 2, 3 and 4, respectively, playing one another. Now, when we're ready to have these golfers play, this is where it's kind of up to you as to how we want to score this within Golf Genius. We can certainly enter in hole-by-hole scores, and that will determine a winner based off of those hole-by-hole scores, or you can just enter in match results where golfers go and play their match, and they tell you, yes, I won 2 and 1, or I won in 20 holes, or Jim won 4 and 3, whatever you want to do. You can certainly do both of these options. But one thing that you need to make sure, if you are using Golf Genius to either enter in hole-by-hole scores or generate a scorecard, when you come to update indexes from Gen, you want to be very careful not to update your entire roster. Because if hole-by-hole scores have been entered, and I go and update all of these players, and there has been a match that has already been completed, it may change those results. So sometimes we see people generating playing handicaps outside of Golf Genius, or just know that if we are looking at 2 particular golfers who are going to play in a particular match on a particular day, let's say it is Janet and Gina are going to play one another, we just want to make sure when we go to update those indexes, we just check Janet and Gina. so that when we go to call on Jen and update those indexes, we're only updating those two particular players. Because if you were to update everyone, again, that may change your results because those golfers may have a different index. We would certainly dot that card accordingly, and your results could change. So certainly can't stress that enough, just to make sure if you're using Golf Genius to generate printed materials, only update those players who are playing on that particular day. We won't affect anyone else because those are static based off of a different update method. Or we've seen some people be like, you know what, we are going to use a specific date for round one, and whatever your index is on that particular date, that's what your playing handicap will be for the duration of that particular match play time.
Hey, Justin, while we have a sec, Colton has a question. Go ahead, Colton, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I just wanted to check on when you're setting up these like season longs. We do a lot of like two-man season long and like couple season longs, things like that. Is it still a similar setup to that, or are you gonna kind of go into a different setup after this?
Yeah, I can show you how to do that real quick. Yeah, basically what we're gonna do is if it's a pair or a couples, we're gonna create a team list.
Okay.
And we're going to use that team list as opposed to individuals.
Okay.
So yeah, I can show you how we would do that, and I can set up a tournament. So we would say, let's say these players all win. We're just going to enter match results. We don't really care about hole by hole scores for posting through Golf Genius. You may post in another area. Again, I go back and forth. I know that the USGA says that you can post a match play score. I'm a little on the fence as to that being what I would do if I were in charge, but I'm not. But they say that because I may play differently in a match than I would for my individual stroke play, but you know, a match play score based on the USGA is recommended to be posted. So, but if you have your golfers who post on their own, that's fine. We have these results of these particular players who have gone through that first round. And again, we don't have to put them all in at one time. You can put them in as they get completed. And that bracket tournament is updated every time a new match has been completed. I'm just kind of doing this to show you what the consolation round would look like. But after we have this first season-long match play, you can see in round one, we do show those winners of that first round. And then when I come into my second round, and TM Premium, we can put this in progress. For TM Club, you would just enter in your match results, and you could certainly move that round from not started to completed to show those partial results. But if I get into my quarterfinals, I put this round in progress. You're now going to see that my consolation match has now been built. I've got my winners moving on. So you can see that Gina beat Janet and Ging beat Janice. So down here on my consolation match, we are going to have those other two players playing one another. And that will be our consolation match that is then built out and scored through my quarterfinal match. Back to a team scenario. If I needed to build teams, obviously I need to build this at the league level because of the fact that we are going to use this team list for the entire duration of the matches. So I would just build my team list. Let's just create them using entry number. Maybe we create them manually, maybe using a custom field. Maybe we've used registration that generates a team ID that we can build these teams. But we would just now be using our team list. And this is going to be a little bit different in the fact that now I only have 8 teams. So it's going to be an 8-person bracket or an 8-seated bracket because I've got my 8 teams. I would then come into my leagues tab. I would build my bracket tournament. See if it's going to let me do it because I've already got this built. I think I can. I'm going to use my all golfers division, I'm going to use my match play team list. Maybe I'm only going to use one bracket because it's 8 teams and we're not going to build out a consolation match. But you can see here, I'm not going to save this because it would corrupt what I've already done, but you may need new rounds, team rounds, or maybe you're doing this standalone. We've got our bracket tournament. And then, well, what are we going to do for the particular team tournament? Are we going to do best ball, both balls, alternate shot, scramble? We've got more options here because we're conducting a team event. But it's no different than the individual bracket, other than the fact that under your golfers tab, leagues, divisions, flights, and teams, we need to build that team list. And then we use that team list to build out our bracket tournament. Everything else is the same in regards to building that out. And then on the portal, as you can see, as long as I've released results to the portal, under my results tab, looks like I got rid of my tournaments here. Let me just add the tournaments widget page. And in my tournament results, and now you can see here that I've got my round of 16. Season-long match play has been completed. And then I've got my quarterfinals that are now in progress. And as those results come through, if we're doing a season-long match play, maybe Gina beats Ging, these players haven't played yet, she can come to the portal and wait to see when those results have been populated for the semis so that those golfers know when they can start to plan their next match. So it's basically the setup, making sure you go through the setup properly, making sure that you get your pairings built out accordingly. And then after that, again, making sure if you're updating indexes, not to make the mistake to update an index of a player who doesn't need to be updated because they've already played or haven't played as of yet. You're going to get in more trouble if you've updated indexes of a player that's already played as opposed to someone who hasn't played, because you can always update that in the future again. So that was kind of quick, but at least wanted to give everyone an idea as to how to set up a season-long match play. Any questions there for any of the audience on our season-long match play?
Just one more quick question. Are you able to, or does Golf Genius have like a printable version that we could like print and post up in the clubhouse? Or because we have our own that we make, but if Golf Genius has a cleaner looking one or anything.
Yeah, we do. It's not, I'll be honest, it's not, I mean, it's okay, but it just gets condensed. If you go into your reports center, under basic reports, there is a bracket tournament printout. Now, if you have a big plotter printer, it's going to look really nice. Again, if you're just printing on 8.5 by 11, it can get shrunk down a little bit. We are trying to do a little bit of improvements with the USGA in our bracket tournament build out, but this would kind of be I don't think I configured it properly. Let's see, I need to configure this. I need to configure it. Do I want to show both? Do I want to show one? Maybe I show my season-long match play. Here are my page sizes. Here are some headers. So we have made some improvements here. You would just want to go through here to make sure these are all showing properly. And then it may take a couple PDF viewings to make sure that you've got it formatted how you want. But and then again, if you want to print out at least the first round and then you put in all your names as they go, fine, and then you complete your first round and you would print that again. You know, this is kind of what we're going to show. I mean, it's okay. It's just with a bracket tournament, there's just so much information to show, as you've seen with the March Madness. Sometimes you just can't get it, I guess, legible for some golfers. But this is what our PDF would look like if you were to use our basic report through Golf Genius.
And it would probably look better on a plotter too.
Yeah,
Printed
plotter
on
look,
a
plotter look great. If you've got a
Okay.
plotter printer,
Yeah,
you're going to be able to see that certainly better than on an 8.5 by 11.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, you bet. Great question. All right, well, so much for giving you guys your time back. We might end up spending the whole 2 hours if that's okay with everyone. Moving on, if there are no more questions with season-long match play, if you do have one, certainly bring that up. But looking at the scorecard composer, we do have a great scorecard composer webinar that I certainly suggest you to view. We will probably cover most of that within this particular tutorial. But within our scorecard composer, there are 6 different tabs. You've heard me refer, okay, go to this tab, and then under this tab, there's some more. We have a pairing groups tab, formatting, handicap stroking, additional tees and info, fonts and colors, header and footer tab. We're going to go into these in a little greater detail. Normally in my 101 and 102, I kind of skip over that. But if we get into our scorecards, and if you go into your rounds tab and print scorecards, we've got a lot of scorecards, as you probably have noticed. Actually, some of you still may be using our legacy scorecards and templates, which is fine. It's what we had when I first started with the company about 7 years ago. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, we built a scorecard composer, which gives you a little bit more flexibility. I'm not going to touch on the legacy scorecards and templates. If you're using that, fine. I know you might have a lot of pre-built scorecards in there, but I certainly would suggest to try and transition over to our scorecard composer. We have a ton of scorecards that have been published by the community, not only scorecards from Golf Genius that are system templates, but as you move through, you can see that Golf Association of Philadelphia, Firestone Country Club, you know, they have built a lot of scorecards that you can certainly use. Now, to try and find those, you could certainly scroll through here, or you could go to our Community Report Center and search for those scorecards via a keyword search. But if you see a scorecard that you like, let's try and look championship match play. Okay, since we are playing a match play event, you know what? I want to build out this championship match play scorecard. Well, okay, it looks okay. I might want to change it a little bit, or you know what? That's just too much. I don't really need the winners and the results here. Maybe I just want something a little bit more stock standard. So let's see if we can't find a match play scorecard. Here's a scorecard singles match play. Let's look at this one. It's been printed 100,000 times. Yeah, that's okay. I think I'll use this one. So what we would do is if you're ready to go to the printer with it, you go directly to the printer. But if we want to make edits to this, we would now put this into your scorecard category. And since it's already up in I've already selected this, it is up in my scorecard category. And then I have to just try and find it. Scorecard match play singles. I could certainly change the name if I wanted to. Maybe I don't want it to represent that. Maybe I want it to say season-long match play. And then I can search for that if I need to. But now that I've got this built and saved, I could certainly make edits to this particular scorecard. Or I could make some copies. Maybe I have a season-long match play and I want to save this as my template, and I want to make a copy and use that copy for some other editing purposes. I can certainly do that as well. But now that I get into making edits to my scorecard, you can now see here, we are going to need to select a tournament that we are going to pull from. I'm going to pull from my season-long match play. Actually, make sure I'm in the proper round. I'm not. You get into the proper round. Very important there to make sure that you are pulling from the correct information, which I'm sure has happened before. We're like, why is it not populating? Because we pulled from the wrong round. Now I need to find my season-long match play. And now that I've changed it, notice it's in alphabetical order. So that may help a little bit. It's now here at the end. I can edit this scorecard. And now we're pushed to all of these tabs at the top. Again, I need to select my proper tournament. I'm going to use my season-long match play. I'm going to save this. And now, again, let's say I am printing out scorecards, and I know that Sherry and Cindy are the ones who are going to play. Well, I don't need to print out 8 scorecards. I just need to print out 1. This pairing groups page is fairly straightforward. Who am I printing out scorecards for? Do I need to print out an emergency scorecard? Maybe so. Probably not for a match play, but maybe for a charity outing where you have a group that you didn't have on the pairing sheet and you want to quickly get their names on that scorecard. We can also print some emergency scorecards if we need to. Moving into the formats tab, this is going to format how we are going to build out the layout of this particular card. Most of the time you're going to print on US letter landscape, but sometimes maybe you're printing out on a portrait card. Normally not, but we do have the option to US letter landscape. How are we going to format this card? Are we playing 18 holes? Are we using a 9-hole card? If you're running a 9-hole event, are you going to use the front 9 or the back 9? Scorecard formatting. Notice here on a 9-hole card, I can include a vertical fold space if I would like. So it kind of just over here, it kind of spaces it out. I kind of like to just choose it to where it gives you more information over here, but you can include a vertical fold space if you would like. And then how many scorecards are we going to print per page? Normally we're printing 2 per page, 8.5 by 11, folded in half. But maybe you want 1 long scorecard because you've got a ton of information that you need to get on there. Or maybe you, for whatever reason, have a 8.5 by 11 that has 2 perforations on there. You can see that this is now being pixelated, so our canvas either gets larger or smaller based off of the scorecards per page. I think I've done 3 scorecards per page for like a shootout, where I'm just trying to get information on an 8.5 by 11 portrait, but normally 2 scorecards per page. The players of the teams that we're going to show on the cards, are we showing every player? Are we showing every team? I don't have teams built, so I can't choose teams. Am I choosing 1 player per scorecard, 2 players per scorecard, or all players per scorecard? This would be if I had created my pairing groups into foursomes. I don't know if I want all 4 players on the card or not. You could certainly choose to do that if you would like. But this is just going to give you the ability to add in those proper players on that scorecard. When we come into the handicap stroking, do we want to include the stroke index allocation on the card? Did I change it to a 9-hole card? Sure did. Since this is a gross stroke play event, I may not want my stroke allocations. Why do I need them on there? However, if I am playing a net event, well, maybe I do want my stroke index allocations on the card. Do I want to include the slope and rating? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe I don't need that for a gross stroke play. And then am I going to include the playing handicap and net columns on the card? Maybe yes, maybe no. Again, I'm using a gross event, my consolation event. I would probably want that. But if I want to get rid of all this information, I can certainly do so. Now it kind of gets weird. This kind of gets a little pushed over with that perforation. So I kind of like to leave that anyway, just so that it perforates in a better spot, just so that when you fold that card, if you fold that card, it keeps them front on one side, back on the other. Moving into our additional, so these 3 are fairly straightforward. Coming into our additional T's and info, this is where we can certainly add scorecard rows, add an in and out row, in and out total. This would be for stroke play. So you can see here that we've added in some in and out if we want to add in those for stroke play. If we're running an event where we need markers notes, we can certainly add markers notes to this card. Now notice this runs over my header and footer. So I would probably need to edit this scorecard if I was using a match play scorecard. Match play doesn't really need markers notes, obviously, because you are determining your results after the hole anyway. So we would probably use a different card that already has markers notes on there. But if we need to add markers notes, you can. And then within those markers notes options, we can certainly show player data in those markers notes if we need to. I can include slashes. I can include a column for initials if I need to. All this information is just building this scorecard. Maybe you need a gross and a net line. We would slash those cards. Let me get rid of these markers notes. Maybe you're running a shotgun and you want to highlight that starting hole that the golfers are on. We've all done that. You're starting on hole number 13. You get a scorecard, and hey, what do you know? You put your first score on hole number 1. Hopefully highlighting that starting hole will help. If you're running an event, a non-flighted, non-team event, and you want to show the blinds, who that person's blind is on the scorecard, you could certainly do so, just so that that particular group knows who their blind is. Again, don't see that very often, but you could certainly do that as well. And then if I have pace of play parameters in my course details, I could certainly put pace of play on the scorecard so that golfers would know at least what time they're supposed to be on a particular hole based off of the pace of play parameters that are within your course details. So maybe another good mental note when you have your course downloaded from CRD, which to add in pace of play minutes for each of the holes. Courses used in tee and pairings. This is a good one here in the fact that if I had maybe men and women, or if I had assigned different tees to a pairing group, I could certainly print tees played by different golfers in the pairing group. So if I had 2 golfers playing from 2 different tees, we are going to show those 2 different tees, the slope and the rating and the different yardages. But if not, we're going to omit that. We're only going to show those tees by players in the pairing group. A great one here. Now, if you have a lot of, let's say you have 4 different players with 4 different tees, that's going to make this scorecard certainly get a little bit smaller due to the fact that I might have 4 tees in here. So maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you only want to show 1 tee, or maybe you don't want to show any. I doubt that would be the case. But we could certainly show either the tees played by the golfers in the pairing group or specific tees based off of your selection. The additional rows, we certainly use this often. You can see here there have been a few added rows in here where we can put information. Maybe because I've added in a row here, let me just remove this scoring line. Let me add another scoring line. And I can move it into it moved down here at the bottom. Well, I don't want that here. I want this up here. And I want it right here. So we might have hole 1 or points 1. Same down here. Maybe we want a hole 1. And this is going to reference the players. And maybe I might put this below this particular player right here. Try that again. And then again, sometimes it can be a little quirky. Won't lie there, but sometimes you may have to play with this a little bit to get it to stick. As you know, there are some quirks within Golf Genius that we have to deal with, but we have our holes 1. You know what? I need to get rid of my slashes. And then maybe you put in here, you know, a verses or something like that. You could certainly customize this with any type of text. So maybe I want that in there. And actually, you know what? I don't even want this line in here. We'll get rid of that. So we've got our player's name, hole 1, our other player's name, hole 1. Possibly get rid of our out rows. Oh, let's delete these. Don't need this. And you can kind of see I'm just customizing this by clicking all of these additional lines. I can bring this down a little bit now that it's kind of moved up to the top. I can pull this down so that will appear on a nice piece of the canvas. You can see that the attested has been on here. Well, maybe we need a player as well. So I could certainly kind of a good best practice here. This is actually going to be in our header and footer, so I'll wait to do that. But you can see that I've just added my rows here. I've added in my other options, and I'm added in the course and tees used in pairings on the additional options tab. Fonts and colors, maybe I want to change the font and color of some of these different lines. You could certainly do that if you needed to, so that we could put in, maybe we want the player's name to be bold, and we want to change the color to red. A good rule of thumb here, it's kind of tough to see, but I have highlighted this row and this row. So if I want to make other changes, I kind of always go to uncheck all. So now when I go in to maybe change hole 1 and I want to make that bold, it doesn't affect what I've done in these 2 columns. It's just kind of tough to see. So I always like to uncheck all, a good rule of thumb when I'm changing this. We are coming up with a combo tee in the course details where you can set the combo tees, but maybe you do have, combo tees that you need to set. I'm just checking these options here. And if I want to change the color of that, background color, sorry. Changing my background color. So we're going to play the white tees, and then these are my combo tees for the yellows. But we will have some updates on that, so you don't have to do this in your scorecard. But if you're building a combo tee scorecard as of today, we build it, save it, and then you can use that combo tee for other rounds. Don't really see fonts and colors used most often. The header and footer is where we see a lot of the information. You can see, again, these were built out by default, where I've got the round name or the player 1 course name, round name. Actually, this is the event name. And again, you can't really see it up here. Sometimes it appears down below. Right now it's appearing up top. Don't know why, but it just does sometimes. We've got some of these other ones of round name, first name, starting hole, starting time. We've added in some logos. But this is where you can certainly get creative with your outings. You can see here I've added in a watermarked logo that is behind the scoring rack. So if I wanted to bring in some other photos, I could bring in a photo from the album. Maybe I want to bring in my Golf Genius logo. And now that I brought it in, well, you know what? I don't want it in front of my scoring line, because now it gets takes that away. I want it to be behind, so I push this to the back. And now it's behind my scoring line. Well, that's still kind of bright, or it still can't really see my scoring line, so I can change my photo transparency. So a good way to kind of highlight your facility, some of your outings that you have coming out, by adding in, we call this a watermark, where it's behind the scoring line. But if I send it to the front, okay, yeah, well, that's okay. The transparency kind of still blocks everything out. Maybe I could make it pretty transparent, but normally sending this to the back is what we see. And then kind of a good rule of thumb, maybe I do need a signature here. I've got my player and I've got my attester. Well, instead of building this box and building this text and building this line by coming in and adding in a line, I've added in my line. It's up here at the top. I can drag it down here. Well, I need to try and make it the same size as this. Well, that's kind of tough to do by just adding in this line. What I like to do for a best practice is click on this and then just duplicate this item. So now we know that it's the exact same length as what has already been built. And then you know what? I can click on this box and I can duplicate that item. So now I've got my box that I can send here, but oh, wait a minute, where'd my line go? Well, I need to send this box to the back. And now it's behind this line. And same thing with this text. I can add in my attester field. I can duplicate that item. This is now an attesting option, but actually it's not my attester, it's my player. but at least it's the same font that we started with. So I can double click on this attest, type in player. It's going to be the same font, the same size. I can apply that. And now because I've duplicated it, it mimics what the other text was. So just a good way to sometimes duplicate an item and maybe make some changes. Your data fields, we can certainly use as many data fields as you would like. If I double click on add text or field, trying to anyway, there we go. Over here, over on the right-hand side are all of your data fields that you're going to use. Now, a lot of times we don't really see a lot of this used. Most of the time I see either on course or round related information. I don't really see a lot of player information used. Maybe the flight, if everyone's in the same flight, you could maybe use a flight name to put on that particular scorecard. But again, most of the time I see is just either league related, round related, and very little information of player related. Sometimes tournament related, not really a lot. Maybe tournament related, you can kind of show a previous score. If you're running a 2-round event, you could certainly show the cumulative score for a player. If you're making a 1-player scorecard, certainly it's a little bit more difficult. If you have a 4-player scorecard, to try and show all of the player information on that particular scorecard, but this would be something you'd want to play with. Obviously, the Foursome GGID is very popular to get that on your scorecard if you're using live mobile scoring. But again, if we just chose any one of these data fields, let's just kind of choose, well, I think league name is already on there. Maybe round name. I think I've already got that on there as well. Maybe tournament name. Let's do tournament name. So I've got my tournament name. Maybe I want to change the font. Maybe I want to change the size. Maybe I want to have that italicized.
He's going out.
Someone have a question?
Sorry. I'm screaming at Golf Genius.
Did you have a question that I can answer?
Well, yeah, actually, I'm trying to send out some invitations. Can you cancel an email for round
not-
sign up?
Not after it's been sent, but we could certainly.
I didn't tell it to send and it sent.
Well, yeah, if it's already sent, I guess there's not much we can do about it, but we can certainly take a look at that here in a few moments.
Oh my God, this is such a mess.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself, we'll kind of
Oh,
continue
yeah,
the
I'm sorry. I
conversation
thought it
and
was
then,
muted.
and then
Sorry.
we can take a look at it when we're finished.
Yeah, you want to hear me swear, huh?
So we can apply this, the text if we need to, and we can certainly move that anywhere onto the canvas as you like. And then when we're ready to look at the preview, obviously we can refresh this preview. I've added in my logoing. Okay, the season-long match play. Well, that's not really good, right? That truncated itself. You can come in and you can just drag this, best practice, kind of drag this a little bit longer, refresh this preview. And now my season-long match play, still not quite where I need it to be because I've named it quarterfinals. I can make this a little bit longer, continue to refresh that preview. Hopefully that will now fit on the page and you can now see that I've got all of my information. Maybe I would get rid of my starting hole and starting time because we don't need that for a season-long match play. So I could certainly come up and delete this information as well if I don't need it. I could delete my lines. I could delete my text. I can delete my data fields. And then when I'm comfortable with this particular look of this scorecard, I could then save this. And now I can use this for whenever I need to print out a scorecard for any of my players. So just remember kind of working from left to right, customizing this. You can make it as intricate or as simple as possible. And certainly adding in data fields, photos, either from Golf Genius or from your desktop, moving them to the back, possibly changing the opacity will be a nice way to hopefully customize your scorecards. And then again, if something didn't quite register with you within this presentation, as always, under our help tab, we have a scorecard composer webinar that we can view. And then also we have a ton of knowledge base articles that go over each one of those tabs. Printing scorecards, here's all those different tabs that we have available. And there is a knowledge base article on each one of those tabs. And then the webinar, if you just put scorecard webinar, that would give you our scorecard composer webinar right down here. Any questions on composing a scorecard?
I see no questions in the chat. Anybody brave enough to unmute themselves and ask now?
I just wanted to apologize for that.
No
Sorry
problem,
about
Kim. Completely understand. I think we've all been there. That's okay. We'll help out as best as we can here
Yep.
coming up, okay?
Yeah, and then definitely kind of getting low on time. I think I may just kind of briefly go over the report composer, because I don't want to get too deep in the woods on the report composer. But just know, we have our report center that we can build reports, and then we have our community reports that most people can find the information that they need. So I will quickly go into that. So in our community reports, again, there are over, I think we're at 1,200 last time I checked, unless we've kind of been purging some or adding some. It's been a while since I've been into the Community Reports Center. 1,200 reports. Just know that if we need to start to filter down into these particular reports, you can always filter by these tabs across the top. What format? Am I looking for a report? Am I looking for a spreadsheet? Am I looking for a scorecard? What category am I looking for? Am I looking for a pace of play Raguzzi chart? Am I looking for a leaderboard? Am I looking for a bag tag or cart signs? This will help you start to drill down on the report that you're looking for. Tournament type, I don't get too deep in here because it certainly can remove a report that you might need. Ryder Cup scoreboards obviously are very particular, so certainly you may drill down on that tournament type, but if you're not quite sure the tournament type, I leave that blank. Do I need a report that has divisions, flights, teams, multiple courses, multiple rounds? Just know that when you do start to drill down on these, obviously we will get less and less reports. Maybe I'm looking for a leaderboard. And again, I'm looking for a Ryder Cup leaderboard. Now I only have one matching result. But if I just do my leaderboards only, I now have 41 leaderboards that I am looking at. And if you see one that you like, then we can certainly bring this into, here's a member round robin member guest leaderboard. Let's kind of look at maybe changing this around a little bit. 6 teams per page. Well, I could certainly go ahead and just print this if I wanted to. Or again, I can move this into my particular category. I've got a scoreboard category that I've built in my report center. So I've moved this over, and now when I come back to my report center, I've got in my scoreboards, I now have that particular round robin 6 teams per page scoreboard that I can make any edits to that I wish. When I come in and edit this, this is where I'm not going to get too deep because I think we kind of need to move on. There might be some questions. I want to kind of get to some best practices. We are going to figure out, well, what am I going to print for? And then this probably isn't going to be a real good example because I don't have teams. But I can change my usage over here on the layout. This is where we can start to build out a header. So if I have a content header that I want my scoreboard to look like, that header is going to be at the top of the page. This one did not have a header. But if I wanted to add a text field and I wanted to add in possibly my league name as my header, I could certainly do so. And maybe I want to make that bold. Maybe I want to increase the size a little bit. And maybe I want to change the text color. I can apply that text change. And now, actually, I would want to center this. Kind of a best practice here. Double click on this. We want to center my header. Apply that text change. I've now pulled this all the way to the right. So now my header is going to have my season-long match play. It looks like they didn't put a header in here, but in their column, they did build out a column header. So they didn't need a report header. They built out a column header. And when they designed this column header, they added in primary logo, secondary logo, and league name. So we have a lot of different ways that we can certainly customize this particular report. Column header and report header are very, stock standard. You're normally just going to probably use the round date, the league name, maybe a logo. But then when we get into your content area, notice here that this is saying I've printed for each team. But I don't want to print for each team. Be like, you know what? This is going to be an individual scoreboard that I need to use for whatever reason. I could certainly remove this content. And now I add a new content area, and I want that content area to be for a player. Or maybe I want to have divisions first. So this is kind of where, if I'm printing for each division, I save this, I add a new content area. Maybe I have flights within that division. Then I would build for flights, save this, add a new content area, and then I'm going to build for my player. And then when I go in to design these, I would design each one of these particular areas to where now I'm going to design my division. I would print for each division. And I am going to use here my text field. I'm going to use my division name. So this would give me a division name if I had divisions here. And then for each one of my flights, I'm going to have a flight name. And this might work because I may have some divisions and flights in my All Golfers tab. But then I would just be building out a flight name. Apply this check. And then for each one of those, let me make sure I chose the right one. And again, this is where it's trial and error. I can't, it definitely can't. Yep, that's the right one. It definitely takes some time to try and figure out the font and the size and where you want things to go. Certainly don't do this if you are in a pinch and trying to get something built in a flash. Use one of our configured reports, try and make it work. And then, we would try and choose the proper information. Looks like I did not choose the proper player here. I chose for each course. So I would need to change this here and choose my player as opposed to each course. So then when I build this out, I could certainly add in information where I'm building informations for my players. I may want to add in first name, last name, index, where we could add in a handle of this particular player. Maybe I want to have a tournament information where I want the player's 18-hole index. And then maybe I want to put in possibly what their tea time is. Again, no different than building out a configured email. And then we could certainly put in text in here as well, to where maybe above this in my column, I have name, I have index, I have tea time. So again, it's probably not the best explanation because we are running out of time. I do apologize, but you know, this is kind of where we're just building out. You can see here, that worked okay. I would certainly need to dress it up a little bit, but I've got my championship division. I've got my flight 1 players with their index, my flight 2 players with their indexes. And then I could certainly put page breaks in if I only wanted to show flight 1 on one page, flight 2 on another page. Maybe I could center this a little bit better. But this is kind of how you're going to go about just choosing. Start the top down. Are we using divisions? Are we using flights? Are we using teams? Are we using players? And then you just kind of choose your content on the right-hand side. Obviously, report header and column header are going to be fixed on each page. And then we're putting in our contact area where we may need to use a page break. We can filter, we can sort. Again, so much that you can do with it. But I'm not going to lie, it does take a little bit of time to get used to the hierarchy of how things work. And certainly you may need to design and redesign some of the reports. But hopefully what we've done is at least given you the information in our community report center so that you don't have to make a lot of edits to these. But if I can certainly help in any way, if you want to dive into this a little bit deeper, or you have a specific report that you want to work on, you know, we can certainly book a meeting and spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes making sure you get the proper information that you need. I may hold off on best practices for leagues and events and maybe segue to any questions about specific event or league setups that you may have. And if you don't, we can certainly go back into best practices, but I know we had some time for open forum. So I think, Aaron, if you're okay with that, maybe we'll just skip over the best practices because I have kind of gone over that over the last, you know, couple sessions, move into some Q&A. And if we don't have Q&A, we can segue back to best practices.
Perfect. That works for me. It is now everybody else's show. So if you have any questions, Kim, if you would like to go over your email debacle there, we can certainly do that now. And then
yeah, let's do that first. Where are you at, Kim? What facility are you with?
I'm Kennedy and we're just TM Club.
Okay.
So most of this has been over our head, but first I'll start with my question. We wanted to use the round sign up as a method for getting people to sign up for our kickoff meeting. And I was playing around with it, didn't think it was going to go out, but you know, it says playing or not playing is the standard words when we go around setting up a round.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the 9-hole group, but
Okay.
anyways.
Let's get to that one.
That matters to you.
Well, yeah, it will. Yeah, I want to look to see.
Don't see the mess I did.
Well, no, I just want to see how that email was configured to be sent out.
Well, it wasn't meant to be sent out because it had no body yet. I was just trying to set up what I was going to, and then go back in later when I had time to type the message. So it went out. Right. That's the
I don't for your kickoff.
Yeah.
Right now, it's showing that signups will automatically open on 4/3, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I wanted it to do so that I would have time to get in there and put the body in there and all the information I wanted to see. So I was just trying to set up a body of it, the date, the time and that kind of thing. And the other thing was, that's interesting because there was one that didn't say Tuesday, April 16th, and it's not showing. Can you go into my rounds? Oh no, my email. If you go to my email, and then you'll see. So it started out with, see the one the first one that says 77.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent a second one that said ignore the first one. But the first one's the one that got away from me.
Okay,
It was opened by a lot of people. It was delivered. I could see
Yep.
all that.
did you by chance change the open and close time?
I'm not sure. There was somebody else's hands in too. So between the two of us, it's
Okay.
possible.
Yeah,
Well, let me-
someone may have gone in and hit open signups and sent an invitation.
Yeah. So let's go. So it's what's done is done. My question
Mm-hmm.
is there a way to change the words that say playing or not playing when you set up a round if I want to use it as an invitation for something that doesn't involve actually playing golf?
Actually, not right now. There has been some requests to have the ability to edit that text, but those are dynamic fields in
Okay.
your email configuration.
Okay.
So right now, it is only for when they're invited. It will only say playing or not playing.
Okay, well, that I would put a vote in for throwing that to development to put something in there. It would be very, very helpful. You know,
Right.
same with end of year, when we have our luncheons at the end of the year, attending or not attending would be very,
Mhm.
very helpful. And
Right. Because
maybe not playing or playing could be just changed to attending or not attending the round. You know, I don't know. Could be,
Yeah,
that
I mean-
could be a better generic word.
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we've got accept link and decline link, and those are defined on the back end. But yeah, we could
Sure, I
certainly.
understand. I understand.
We'd have to build out different links, I think. We'd have to maybe when there's a social round, it dynamically changes as opposed to a golfing round, something like that. I mean,
That sounds like a great code change, definitely. Okay, I think that's the only thing I don't think there's a way to stop the emails from going out once I accidentally did what I did. So I think I can manage the mess I made at this point.
okay. And then it looks like, five ladies did
Yeah, I've been in-
possibly answer
yeah.
that. But I mean, but since it's a social round and, that was going out tomorrow, I don't think it's too, yeah, I mean, almost kind of no harm, no foul in the fact that it's not for a club championship or something like that.
Well,
So
it's not a
hopefully,
round. It's not a round. It's a breakfast,
right.
So
Well, it's a kickoff. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a kickoff at 9 a.m. Hopefully the ladies
are
who've
smart
answered
enough.
it, great. And the other ones will get it tomorrow and they can choose to play that. Now, if you want to add information to the body, to that invite,
Yeah.
you can always come in here to this more info tab.
Yeah.
And this is where you can put in either more info
Right,
or
right.
around invite message.
Right. I understand that, but
Okay.
I was just trying to set up the round and set up the date, and somehow it went out with no, it had a subject line, so it went
Mhm.
out. But so is there a better way to set up those pieces before you have time to type in the body, or just you better do it all at once? Because I thought we set up the time to go out,
Well,
later, so I could fill it in, and it went out.
well, yeah, like I said, somebody must have either this got changed or someone
Uh-huh.
manually sent it out. But you like before 5/7,
Yeah.
you can certainly go in and add this information.
Oh,
At-
okay. Let me see.
At
Okay.
any point in time, you can add the information, and if you have it contained in your desktop somewhere,
Ah.
you could populate that there. It's in
Okay,
there,
so-
and then you're done.
So there's no body in there at this point in time for this darn hole. And that's where I can add my message.
Correct.
So those were all sent up, and they're probably timed to go out at the right time.
This one is not. This one does not have an open and close date set.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll spend more time looking at it. I was working with someone and she was rushing me through it, and
Okay.
that's something screwed up, but
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
That's very helpful.
Yep.
And yeah, please add that note to IT to put that coding in there.
Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. Well,
Thank
glad we
you.
got
That was
that.
very helpful. Thank you.
Yep,
Very
my
helpful.
pleasure. Certainly open up the floor. Anyone else? I got a question in here. I'll address this. How do I run a season-long ringer board updating at the end of the season to capture who started the season without an index?
That's
Well, I mean, I guess you could retroactively go back into a player's profile and change the index at the end. But what I would suggest is if they don't have an index to begin with, you could certainly give them a fictitious index. You could make them play their first handful of rounds as just a 0 using their gross score. And then once they do get an index, when you update the index from Gin, moving forward, anything moving forward from today's date and beyond, would populate an index for them for their ringer tournament.
But would they have all 9 or 18 holes if they started out with no index?
Sure, they would just be a 0. If you shoot 100, your ringer score is going to be, let's use it all 5s. Let's say you make all 5s on your first round. Well, your first ringer score is going to be 90 and you have all 5s. And then maybe the next week you still don't have an index and you make a couple 4s. Well, those 5s are going to move down to 4s. And then for the third round, yep, I've got a Gin number. I've got my index. We've now updated your index through Gin. Then we will start to calculate in the third round using your either course or playing handicap to generate a net score based off of strokes that are applied on those future rounds.
Unless you use gross for your ringer, then it won't
Well,
matter.
gross ringer, yeah, you don't even need an index at all. Doesn't even really
Yeah.
matter.
That's true, yeah. I don't know whose question that was, but I liked it.
That was Barbara. Does that make sense, Barbara?
She's on mute. There she is.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yep, you bet. Now, like I say, you could certainly go in and be like, okay, you know what? I don't want you to, I want you to, enjoy your round. I don't want you to have to play the first round as, a 0. You could always come into that particular player's profile before that round and you could, give them some sort of index. Well, I shoot about 100. Well, I'm not going to give you a 28 index. Maybe I'll give you a 20 index. And then they could use that until they have enough scores to generate a Gin index. Something like that might work. If you wanted to.
So you would shoot to give them an index lower than what you anticipate their index is going to be?
I normally do. I don't really think that's fair to someone say, hey, I shoot about 100. You give them a 28 index and they go and shoot 90. I would give them a 0 until they got an index in general. That's how I always did it. If you want to play in a league and you want to compete with other players, you need to have a USGA index, is how I always approached it. But there are certainly multiple ways that it is approached on a league by league basis. Or you could give them a 28, be like, yeah, I'm about at 28. Another thing that you can do if you don't want them to, and this might be good for everyone on the call, if you don't want them to use slope and rating to generate a course handicap, you can always put an H after their handicap index. And regardless if Deirdre played the forward tee or the back tee, she would get 20 stroke allocations on her scorecard. So if there's an H after an index, we're not going to apply the WHS calculation to generate a course handicap or playing handicap.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm. Anybody else have any specific questions regarding their league, their event, just anything in general? I can certainly try and help out with. Be happy to help.
Yes, now is your chance. We have 13 minutes left. Other than that, then you'll have to send an email to Justin and he'll have to get back to you at a later time with this, depending on his availability. So we have him now, so let's try to use him as much as possible.
We have his mail?
And then if not, we can certainly go into maybe some portal best practices, Aaron.
Yeah, I think let's do that. And then if people have questions along the way or, associated, then we can answer those as well.
Okay. So, the portal is a great feature that TM Club, TM Premium have the ability to utilize to hopefully start to communicate with your members, either via round signups, as Ken mentioned, or viewing results, or getting out any information to your golfers, photos of an event, results, player of the year standings. There are 3 different ways that we can get information out to your golfers via the portal. One being, oh, I thought I was in my test result. Good thing I didn't change Deirdre's
Yeah, thank you.
index. Sorry about that. I thought I was in my test account. Let me get back to my test.
You were gonna leave.
I know. Geez, let me get out of there. That would not have been good. So let me get back into my test account. Thank you for mentioning that, and I didn't click save, so that's good. Within your dashboard, you can embed the. Let me get back to my league. Sorry, I'm not seeing it here real quick. Hang on. There it is. It's on the right-hand side for some reason. Normally it's on the left. The portal link. If you have a web address or a website and you want to embed the portal link with the GGID, you can certainly copy this and paste it into your website. So when golfers go to, the men's league and they can click on this link, they get sent to the portal. You can also send golfers the GGID. And when they go to golfgenius.com and they enter in that GGID, excuse me, that sends them to the portal. Now, this code is not real relevant to what my league is called, so I can always change this. And if it's not being used, I can now send this out in a configured email saying, hey, here is your league GGID. Go to golfgenius.com, type in 2024 CGA, and that will send you to the portal. The third way that we can do this is by registering golfers to use the league portal. And what that does is that sends everyone an email address, or excuse me, it sends them an email to that email address in their profile. And they create a password that's associated with their email. So they go to golfgenius.com, they enter in their email and their password, and they're sent to the portal. So 3 different ways that we can get there. Well, we could send the league GGID. That just sends them an email, and then they have to enter that in to golfgenius.com. They can sign in with the league portal email and password, or certainly there is the URL link that golfers can access the portal as well. However we get them to the portal, this is where now they have information regarding pairings, regarding the players in the league, regarding results, tournament results, analytics, event standings, anything that we want them to see, we can certainly populate in the portal. Now, some portals I've seen are by default what was built when they first got Golf Genius. They've never customized their portal. It'd be like going to the CGA's website and just seeing a blank page. Well, the CGA wants to brand themselves with their logo, with their coloring, with some photos. So you can certainly do that. And what we would recommend, if you haven't done this before, is to build out a default portal. And anytime you make a new event or league, your portal will be representative of this particular default league or portal. And we can have logos, banners, and backgrounds that are represented within this particular portal. So if I wanted to use my Golf Genius portal, maybe I wanted to use something else down here for my primary and or secondary logo, fine. I have banners that I could use for my default portal. Looks like I've got my Golf Genius. I've got a couple banners. But if I wanted to use a different banner by default, that's fine. Same thing with background images. So whatever I build by default is what my portal is going to look like. But that's not to say I can't change it. Let's say, some of you may be, part of a larger facility, but you want your particular portal to represent your league or your event. Maybe there's a picture of all the men or ladies of your league, and you want that to be your banner. You can always come into either your customer center on your manager site and change the logo, banner, and background, or here under the general portal settings, you can always change a banner. I want to use a different banner for this particular event. Okay, fine. I can choose, yes, I need to build another banner. And you know what? I'm going to do my old Golf Genius banner. That's going to dynamically change once I save this. Maybe I want to use another background image. Maybe I've got a sponsor that I want to use for the background image, and I want to represent that as my background image. Let's see, maybe we'll do Pebble. And then you know what? I want people to see this background image, so I can certainly change the opacity. Be careful when you change the opacity because you may lose some of the text. So you got to be real careful as to making sure it's not too light or you won't be able to see the text. Maybe on your banner link, you want people to be able to click on your link. So I could certainly put in a banner link, and now you'll get your finger pointer, and I can click on this banner link, and it will take me to that particular website. Maybe a flash message. You can certainly put in a flash message that runs across the top. Maybe you want to add some information, you know, welcome, or happy to have you, or welcome to the club championship, or welcome to the ladies league, men's league. Maybe you don't want the manager's name on there. You can certainly unselect that. And then something that we have here, if you are concerned about the number of clicks that your website receives or your portal receives, you can always go to google.com, build out a Google Analytics ID, and then paste that analytics ID here. And then you would just go to that Google search. You would be able to look at the number of clicks that your website has received. So maybe you're trying to determine how much traffic your portal is receiving. You can certainly add that in as well. You can move your sections around if you want. Maybe you want your results to appear before the home page. You can certainly move your sections around. So under your general portal settings, we actually, you know what? And this orange isn't really, this is the new Golf Genius orange. I want the old Golf Genius orange. You can certainly change the color code. And if you have the RGB number, you can populate that in there, or you could certainly drag this to try and get as close to the color that you want. Or maybe, you know what, I'm just okay with a blue banner background. Or excuse me, section background. So I can kind of start to customize what my page is going to look like. And then under these sections, we can add widget pages. And these widget pages, TM Club's a little bit different. TM Club, they're not all available. I'm on my premium account so that they are all available. They're grayed out if you have TM Club. You won't be able to use those, but we do give you the ability to add in a calendar. Maybe you want to add the calendar of your league so it shows whether signups are open or when signups will open. So if I add my calendar somewhere, I can certainly show all of this information. Maybe I'm accepting signups. Maybe I want to see my status. Maybe I want to show the tee sheet. Maybe I want to show results. Maybe I want to show all this information and I want to put it in a proper order. Well, we can certainly now have the calendar, and here are my calendar of events. No signups being accepted. I do have results for my round of 16 and my quarters. I didn't post my qualifier results, but I could certainly do so. Shows the date. Maybe I want to get rid of some of this information. I certainly can. Some other widget pages that you may want to utilize are your standings. Player league standings for a league is great because then I can certainly show a rank column based off of either total purse or total points. So that when your players come to this portal, they can see who the leading point winner or the leading money winner is of this particular league. Maybe you have a team league. You could certainly show team event standings if you want to as well, or team league standings. We can show that for, you know, your league that is a two-person team that runs for the entire course of the season. We didn't really get to season points. We probably should have, but maybe we'll Maybe focus on that next time we have a webinar. Focus on how we build out season points that run across events and leagues so that we can generate, you know, a FedEx style cup point standings for all of the events that you played in at your facility. Analytics, you know, we can certainly put in analytics by course, by player, by most improved player. So we have got a lot of information on these widget pages that you can use to customize your portal. And again, this is hopefully so that you don't have to answer those simple questions that you always get from your players. Did I win a skin? What's my tee time? Who am I playing with? A lot of things that we can do with this portal to hopefully put the information in your golfer's hands, as opposed to you having to constantly relay information that can be easily found on the portal. So just a quick few minutes there on how to customize your portal, and then certainly see what the widget page does. If you don't like it, you can always delete it. Nothing is set in stone here on the portal. You can always delete anything if you'd like to.
I have a question.
Mhm.
How did you get into the portal again? Would you go back to that? And then the question is, I saw those pictures, like the golf picture behind your Golf Genius. Are those pictures, I mean, if I pick one, a different picture, will it, and how do I say this? We already have a golf course picture. So when we send out our round information, it's got the pretty picture.
Mhm.
Can I change that? That's something I can change in the portal.
Yep. So what I did here to get to the portal from the manager site, I went to the apps tab and I went to member portal address.
So, okay, member.
And that sends me directly to the portal.
Okay.
And then if I need to get back to my manager site, I click on the gearbox, return to manager site, takes me back and forth. I can get back and forth. Or, you know what? I can duplicate this tab, go to my apps tab, member portal address. Here's my member portal address. Here's my manager site, and go back and forth a couple different ways. Now, to add logos under your leagues tab, I can certainly go to my logos, banners, and backgrounds application, and I can choose from logos that have been uploaded into my account. I can choose banners that have been uploaded into my account, or I can certainly add them as well. If I've got something on my desktop that's not here,
That's
I
I
can
think all I want to do is change the logo.
okay, yep, go to logo if it's in your account. Let's see here. So if we went here, leagues tab, logos, banners, and backgrounds. Looks like there's a few here. There's 3 pages of logos. If it's already in here, great. Choose it as your primary logo, or if it's not, you would upload that from your desktop. It would be a PDF,
Yeah.
JPEG,
Okay.
not PDF, excuse me, JPEG or GIF or PNG file. And then you could
With-
choose
and then
that.
The background image is another option.
Yep.
And the banners.
Logos,
Okay.
logos, banners, and backgrounds. And then if you need some more information on that, help tab, logos, banners, and
Okay.
backgrounds, managing logos, managing banners, managing backgrounds.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. All right. I think I am going to have to kind of cut it off there, Aaron, because I do have another meeting coming up here in a few minutes, but I will thank everyone for their time. Hopefully it was beneficial for your time. That's all we really ask, and hope that you're getting some content and some information that will help you make you a better Golf Genius user. And I will pass it off to Aaron to stop the recording and